Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome once again to the Steelers Hangover. Yeah, there's nothing to be really hungover. Maybe we're a little bit hungover from the July 4th holiday and still celebrating it once again today, being July 5th. So I call this July 5th. So there's really nothing to call it because it's the day after July 4th, but it's still celebrated. I know it's the July 4th federal holiday, but I like to call it Huey Lewis's 71st birthday, and that's more important than anything, if you ask me. And if you've never had an opportunity to listen to Huey Lewis in the News sing the national anthem, it's absolutely perfect. So go ahead and check that out on YouTube. They've done it at so many games throughout the years, but even in their early years, it is the most beautiful thing to sing that, listen to them singing that a cappella. So that's fantastic. So with me, as always, is my good friend Tony Defeo and my new good friend Shannon White, who's been a good friend for a while, but is my new good friend here on YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere that you get a Pittsburgh Steelers Behind the Steel Curtain podcast. Now, speaking of all of your favorite podcasts, I want you to check out our other podcast. I got to tell you, we have the best in the business, including Jeff Hartman, Dave Schofield, Rich Schofield, Michael Beck, the deputy editor, Tony Defeo, Shannon White here. He's new at it, but he's really good. Jeffrey Benedict. Don't forget the guys down under. The guys down under that I'm really proud of. Mark Davison, who Mark Davison and I are going to be on the Dave Bro Show, the Davis Bro Show tomorrow. Filling in for the Sco Bros. So we are going to be doing that as well. So don't forget Matty Peverell and Mark Davison. Don't forget the new podcasters that we have coming in. Don't forget KT Smith, who's here in season with some great stuff. So I want to make a comment. So I don't know if you follow us on Twitter, and if you do, if you don't, that's okay. But there was a certain heel in Pittsburgh radio that went after one of our guys today. And look, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to say who it is. All I'm going to say is not only did they go after one of our guys, they went over the platform that we have as, I'm not a huge fan of the term, but as bloggers and blogcasts. And we work for SB Nation, which is Sports Blog Nation. And so there's a lot of disrespect out there from the old media to anybody that's in the blogosphere here. And I got to tell you, we have some competitors. And I'm not going to mention the competitors' names. But the competitors, they're not us, but they're pretty darn good out there too. And I'm going to say that I'm not asking you, hey, go check them out. All I'm saying is those guys put their heart into it. And I consider them Pittsburgh blog journalists just as much as I do us. And we've got a lot of competition out there. But just because you're not on the same level doesn't mean that you don't have not just a good following, but you don't have great Pittsburgh Steelers information. And you're going to get great Pittsburgh Steelers information on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Look, I might not be your favorite. I'm a lot of people's least favorite. I'm some people's favorite. That's okay. Tony's a favorite and least favorite. Shannon, too. Jeff, Dave, Michael, everybody talk about. You're going to like one of us more than the other, and that's okay. As long as you're liking BTSC collectively, we love you. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, all of you. So I really got to tell you, we can't do it without all of you, and that's why we do it. And I will say this. I think BTSC is one of the best in the business, taking care of their fans and having their fans take care of them. We are a family here at BTSC, and once again, thank you so much for supporting us. Hey, I'm not going to denigrate anybody that's going to be on their high horse and go after us. In some ways, that's good news. But in some ways, it belittles what we're doing here and what our competition is doing out here. And every single one of us, whether you're under the SB Nation banner or another banner, we're working hard and we are in the same boat, even though some people don't like it. So with that being said, let's get on with the show. Shannon, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Let me see that T-shirt. Show everybody your T-shirt. Look at this. Look. No mercy, Cobra Kai never died. I didn't know Shannon was a big fan of Cobra Kai, and you know I am. My two favorite shows right now are Cobra Kai and, of course, Stranger Things. So, Tony, are you a Miyagi-Do? Are you Cobra Kai at heart? Or are you Eagle Fang?
Geez, I have to say I'm Cobra Kai after watching. I've become such a big Billy Zabka fan watching this, the new, the rebooted effort of this show. I just really, the reimagined version, whatever you want to call it, the continuation. I just really love the way they fleshed out his character, and I'm really a big fan of his. So I'm Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai never dies.
I think with the John Kreese factor, I think I'm an Eagle Fang now. But with that being said, more important, we're all black and gold, right?
That's right. He switched over to Eagle Fang. How can I forget about that? Well, you know what I mean. He's going to go back to Cobra Kai. I don't want to be a spoiler, but let's be honest. It's going to happen at some point.
Well, Cobra Kai is black and gold, and we love our black and gold.
Right,
so, I appreciate that. So I want to bring this up right here, and I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to say, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We don't. And I might be giving some advertising to someone else. I don't care. We're out here for the same reason, and that's respect. Just like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, they might not love each other. In fact, they might downright hate each other. But here's the thing: they damn well they respect each other, and that's the bottom line to it. So, with that being said, let's do this, guys. It has been a fun week with Devin Bush. I don't think the Devin Bush stuff is a big deal, but what I love about it is I think this is something with Devin Bush. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's saying two things. I think he's needling good friends on his team. He's messing around with them. And also he's saying, hey, media, don't lump me in with that. I'm not a TikToker. Just like you want to lump the Steelers in as 53 TikTokers, I'm not one of them. So that's kind of that. But I love when Zach Banner gets involved. And Zach Banner, I guess, what happened? Devin Bush put in like a cat video. He had some kind of like cat tweet. Wow. And then Zach Banner says, you do that again, I'm taking away your Twitter account.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously people were upset about it, but I think people also at the same time they went a little overboard with trying to vilify Bush. I mean, he's 22 years old. Was it stupid? Yeah. Was it? Is it something that he can be forgiven for? I think so. I mean, he's 22. Like if my cousin did this exact same thing, I wouldn't say he's a POS and all the other stuff that people like to throw around on the internet. I would just say, look, you got to learn from this and just it's a bad luck and don't do it again. That's pretty much what I would say if I was mentoring Devin Bush.
You know what? I didn't even find problem with it because the way that Chase Claypool responded, I thought it was all good-natured, just ribbing. So Shannon, let me ask you this. We've got a Slack channel here at BTSC, and we go after each other in a fun way. And there's no one that's going to get really upset because it's our own locker room. And so do you kind of feel that's the same way here that Bush was doing here? Now there's some people in the live chat saying, hey, he went overboard. I kind of thought it was all in fun. Shannon, what are your thoughts?
I originally, the stuff about the TikTok and everything, I compared him to Jack Lambert, because if Jack Lambert was around today, he'd be like, get that nonsense out of here. He would not have been a fan of the stuff that went on with that. But, again, some of that was blown out of proportion. Now the video showed a cat following multiple stories, and it fell to its death. And it was disturbing. It wasn't funny, even though it was. I think there might even been a laughing emoji included in the tweet. I didn't think it was appropriate. I wouldn't have touched that with a 10-foot pole.
Whoa.
And,
Okay.
and so I understand the backlash. I think there's a little bit of question whether he actually is the one posting some of this stuff. Because it's just here in the last few weeks, it's just kind of coming fast and furious out of nowhere. And a lot of it, honestly, is it doesn't shine a good light upon his maturity level at the moment. And I expect better from him and from somebody representing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think it's that, it's not the end of the world, but I definitely think that somebody within the organization needs to have a talk with him and say, that's not acceptable.
Okay, first, let me jump out real quick and say, I thought he was just posting like cuddly cat videos. I had no clue that this was. So that shows my professionalism and how because I was here I just saw that tweet from Zach Banner right before I came on the show, and I thought I didn't realize that's exactly what he was doing. So no, I mean, I don't. I really don't support that either. What I was talking about was the stuff between.
Oh yeah,
him and
yeah. I knew
and,
what you was talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, this is a very late developing thing from Sunday night. That's probably why you may have missed it. But yeah, the TikTok thing was the big news before last night of him kind of dissing TikTok and ribbing his teammates, and that's what I thought he was doing. I knew that's what he's doing. He's ribbing his teammates about their TikTok behavior, and they probably text back and forth all day long, and far worse than what they show about each other on social media. That's But the cat thing was a late developing thing, and from what I understand, the cat actually survived. I read up on it, and I guess he was paralyzed from the leg, or it was paralyzed from the legs down, and they
still not good.
No, it's not
good. No, but I'm saying, I mean, they created a contraption for it, and it's able to get around. So, I mean, that's one good thing that came out of it is the cat survived the fall. But I mean, I think a lot of people were trying to equate it to stuff that Devin Bush's act of retweeting this, and it was a bad look. I think a lot of people were trying to equate it to what Mike Vick did. I saw somebody say that, which is not even in the same universe. No, and it was stupid. It was immature. It was a bad look, and he's got a lot of growing up to do. According to his last couple weeks of social media activity, he certainly has a lot. But it's not like something that this guy is the worst human being ever. And these particular people that were on Twitter last night were trying to make it into that. And to me, I thought that was you're getting it too far when you're doing that with a 22-year-old who probably has a lot of growing up to do.
So we all went to high school in the 80s. We all graduated in the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Shannon, you're what, 88?
88.
And Tony's 90. I'm 89. So we're right there. There's one thing, and I say this almost every time I'm having a conversation with somebody, and I said this to somebody just today. I am thankful that I did not have one of these when I was in high school. Right. I would have been in a lot of trouble just because I was immature and I had a lot of fun. I did some crazy stuff. And there was a lot of just and it would have been just me doing something dumb, just tweeting out something dumb, but just trying to have fun. And so I am thankful that I don't have this. And I tell my kids every day, if you're going to tweet something, actually, if you're going to text something, you read it once, you read it again, and you read it a third time. Then, after the third time you read it, then you press send. Because I think everything that I send out, especially if it's for work, I read it to make sure that it did not come out the wrong way. I teach communications merit badge for the Scouts, and I explain that to them because what you're reading doesn't always match the intent of someone that's writing something. And your mood and your state of mind, it might sound different beforehand. So, well,
I mean, I'm trying to do a lot of dating on Bumble now, and a lot of times I'll text something that I think is funny to one of these women, and like I'll go back an hour later and they're completely gone. Yeah, unmatched. So I mean, sometimes the intent is not what you want it to be. And it's like the one comedian Bill Burr said one time. Every night, like you'll be driving along in your car, or you're just sitting around it, and you think of something you said 10 years ago, or you did 10 years ago, and you just cringe. This is one of those things that, you know, if Bush matures, hopefully he'll look back on someday and go, I should not have done that. That was stupid. That was too far. You know, he was trying to push the envelope all weekend with his tweets and probably get reactions out of people, and he just went one step too far. But again, he shouldn't be vilified based on this alone. We'll see what happens. But another thing is, people are not everybody that's active and stupid on social media. That's not always a gateway drug to being like Antonio Brown. And a lot of people try to do that too. They try to say that, well, oh my gosh, he's acting on social media, he's acting up, so he's going to turn into Antonio Brown. Like, you can't always compare every young social media person to the next era Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we've established that, and now that I know the full Devin Bush story, maybe I could try to have a little more credibility and accountability. So let's talk about the Steelers. My gosh, do you realize how close we are to the start of training camp? When do they report? The 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. So it is coming up.
Yeah.
So they're reporting the 23rd. This is the 5th. We've got 18 days till we're talking about guys at camp, which is absolutely amazing. And which means the start of the season is not that far away as well. We're about 67 days to the start of the regular season, which that's going to go really quick. And everybody's talking about the AFC North. How this is arguably the best division in football. I'm going to start with Shannon White. Is there a better division in football than the one consisting of the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens?
It would have to be the AFC North or the NFC West. Those two divisions, I think, are both the class of their conference.
I cannot disagree with the NFC West either. Tony, your thoughts?
I was actually going to say that. I'm glad Shannon brought that up. Yeah, I think the AFC North, if all three teams live up to their billing, and obviously the Steelers are the team that people have the most doubts about, then that's going to be arguably the best division of football. But the NFC West is pretty darn good too, especially if the 49ers can bounce back from their injuries last year. So yeah, I think it's a toss-up between those two divisions.
So there's a lot of people thinking that the Steelers won the AFC North last year. There's a lot of people thinking that the Steelers are going to take a step back. There's thoughts on the Cincinnati Bengals that they are building an offensive juggernaut with the fact that Joe Burrow he's 85% right now. He could be healthy, and he has some great weapons in guys like Jamar Chase, the rookie. Tyler Boyd is still there. So he has some players. So my thought, then you look at the Baltimore Ravens. We know what they have. They've got a former MVP just from 2019 in the form of Lamar Jackson. They got a pretty solid defense. It doesn't go away. We know what's happening up in Cleveland. That defense is pretty solid. They've got a defensive player of the year candidate in Myles Garrett. They've got a two-headed monster at running back. They've got a returning OBJ, and they've got that Jagoff quarterback. Then I guess he's okay. So, man, I'm really professional today, aren't I? But what I'm saying is those teams are good. But if you look at the rosters and the depth charts of each team, where do the Steelers stack up? This week, we're going to take care of the offense. Next week, we're going to do the defense. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. So I have what I pulled up as the depth charts for every team. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to moderate this, and we're going to look at quarterback. And we are going to rank the Steelers 1 through 4, see where they rank at the quarterback position, so on and so forth. So let's start with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's look at the position group. We've got Lamar Jackson, who we know, backed up by Trace McSorley and Tyler Huntley. And these are projections things can change, but right now these are projections for the 2021 season. And I got this from Sportskeeda. Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, Brandon Allen, and Kyle Shermer. And now let's look at the Cleveland Browns. Number 6, then Case Keenum and Kyle Laletta. You notice what I did there. I'm not even mentioning that guy's name anymore. Don't like me, number 6. Sure, he won the Heisman. His name's number 6. So let's go. I'm going to start off with Tony. Then we'll go to Shannon. Who's number 4 in that position group?
Probably for now the Bengals.
Okay. Shannon, you could disagree. You can rank somebody else there.
Number 4. I'd have to agree with the Bengals.
All right. So, Joe Burrow, I think he's going to be great. I think he has some weapons. That's probably a safe bet. Let's start with Shannon at number 3.
At number 3, I would actually I'm going to have to put the Ravens at number 3 because after Lamar Jackson, I don't like their depth at all at quarterback.
Does that have anything to do with the passing ability of Lamar Jackson as well?
It does as well, but he's an MVP, and I want to give him his respect. But but their backups, I have no faith in their backups at all. So, and the fact that he does struggle to throw it, so they would be 3rd.
Tony, number 3.
I was going to say the Ravens too, simply because the depth behind Jackson and the fact that he really hasn't proven himself. He's an MVP. I hate to say he hasn't proven himself because he has. But as far as being able to take that next step as a passing quarterback, he hasn't gotten there yet. So until proven otherwise, I'd say they're 3rd.
Okay, Steelers Pittsburgh says bad. You wanted Case Keenum last year. I still want Case Keenum. I love Case Keenum. If Case Keenum was the Steelers quarterback in 2019, they not only go to the playoffs, they go to the AFC Championship game with Case Keenum and that team. I'm just saying, we'll never know. But in this head, in this black and gold mind, I'm saying it. All right, Tony, number 2.
Oh, you're not gonna want to hear this. It's the Steelers. Because of I think Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger. I love him, and he's great. And I think he's obviously the most proven one out of the bunch as far as the starters in the AFC North. But behind him, Mason Rudolph still has a lot to prove, and obviously so does Dwayne Haskins and Josh Dobbs. So there's really not a proven veteran behind him yet, as of right now. Maybe that'll all come to fruition by the end of 2021. But as of right now, there really isn't anybody totally proven behind Ben yet.
Okay. Don't get too hung up on backups. Let's assume that a lot of these guys, I know not everybody's going to play 16 games, but let's look at who we have starting week 1 as well. Shannon, number 2.
Well, I was considering backups from the beginning when I put the Cincy last. So, no, I think the Browns have the second best quarterback depth. I like Baker Mayfield more than you do, definitely, but I think he fits what they need there with his confidence. But the rest of their depth, I'm not as impressed with. So I put them at number 2.
Tony, so you're going with number 6 at number 1, number 6 in the boys, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
kind of like with Lamar Jackson. If number 6 didn't play for the Browns, I'd probably be a much bigger fan. Just like if Lamar Jackson didn't play for the Ravens, I'd probably be a much bigger fan of his. I think I like both of them as quarterbacks for different reasons. Yeah, Case Keenum as the backup. Even though I know you're not supposed to fixate on the backups too much, I think he was in the playoffs a couple years ago with the Vikings, right? Yeah, the Vikings, and didn't he play many years with Washington? So I just think he's the most proven veteran backup quarterback in the division. And I think that could be a big benefit to them if number 6 gets hurt at some point.
All right, so you're allowed to call him by his name. That's no problem. I'm just calling him number 6. Let's move on to the running back position. This is really interesting. Now, when we're talking about the running, I'm going to allow you guys to do this. I'm talking about the running backs. However, if you want to include Lamar Jackson in the running game for the Ravens, that's your prerogative there. You definitely can. Because if we're going back and we're saying rank the quarterbacks, if you're going to rank those quarterbacks like we just did, if you're going to talk running quarterback, Lamar Jackson's number 1. If you're going to talk passing quarterback, you might have Lamar at 3 or 4. You might even have passing. You might have Lamar at 4 and Joe Burrow ahead of him. So there's so much to consider here. But I'm just going to throw that out there. And when you pick the running games, we can go ahead and do that. So, Tony, let's start off with the number 4 running game. And I'm going to go ahead and bring these guys up here too. At running back, we're looking at J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards as the top 2. So I'm just going to bring up the top 2 here in the depth charts. We are looking at Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine for the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Browns, I don't know how to look at a list for that. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And the Steelers, we know Najee Harris is going to be number 1. You can decide who the number 2 in Pittsburgh is. So that's what we'll do there. We're not going to assign anybody as number 2 because we don't even know who it is yet. So who you envision as the number 2 in this. So Tony, go ahead, give me your number 4.
Simply because they haven't proven anything. He hasn't proven anything yet as a newbie, as a rookie. I'd have to go with the Steelers at 4th with Harris as your starter. And then number 2, that's the problem. Should it be Benny Snell? Should it be Anthony McFarland? I mean, Benny Snell looked great in week 1, and then he just really fell off last year. Of course, there are a lot of factors involved there. And McFarland is totally unproven, and Balaj, I mean, he's just an average back. So I'd have to go with the Steelers at number 4.
Shannon, do you agree with Tony there?
100%. I can't rank Harris ahead of Mixon. Mixon's had a 1,000-yard season. You know, he was hurt, banged up a lot last year in a bad line as well. But until Harris proves otherwise, and we still don't know who's going to be the number 2, I'd have to put the Steelers at number 4 in that division.
Okay. Once again, I'm the moderator, so I'm not going to say anything here. I would not put the Steelers at number 4, but I do respect that, and I'm not a part of the game, so I'm happy with that. Shannon, number 3.
I would have to go with the Bengals because I think Mixon, you know, he can be a good running back as far as if they have a line in front of him, you know, he can get 1,000 yards. He's proven that. I'm not very impressed with Perine, but, you know, they would be the 3rd best.
Tony, number 3.
I have to go again with agree with Shannon. I like Mixon. I think he's a good starter, but the backup to me, it's just not impressive. So yeah, number 3 would have to be especially compared to the other 2 teams. The overall depth, I'd have to go with the Bengals at number 3.
All right, Tony, keep it going with number 2.
It's the Ravens with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. They're number 2.
Shannon's shaking his head. He's saying no, I think, right, Shannon?
No, we're agreeing too much.
This is boring.
The Ravens are Dobbins and Gus the Bus. You know, man, they're loaded, but part of their success is because of Jackson. And in my opinion, you know, Chubbs, I think, is the best running back in the NFL, and Hunt is the best backup in my opinion. So yeah, I have to put Cleveland as the best running backfield tandem in the league, in the division for sure.
You know what? I gotta tell you, I have no problem with that, but it is so hard. It is so hard to do this exercise because you might actually have to look at the Ravens and take Gus out of there and say it's Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins. So that's the thing. Right. So it depends on how you determine this, and the way you determine it, I have no problem with that. So you guys are saying that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I have a hard time disagreeing with those guys there. Mm-hmm. Man, could you imagine Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb would have been a perfect Steeler. He really would have been, and he could have been, but remember, if you go back to that draft, there was a lot of talk about the possibility of Darius Geis. And the Steelers might go with Darius Geis there at number 1. And we're like, we hope not. We hope they don't do that. But they'd love to get that guy if they could get him in the second round, blah, blah, blah. But Nick Chubb was never really considered. And they went with Terrell Edmonds, and the rest is history there. So, wow, that would have been really interesting. I would think if they redo that draft and the Steelers had the same opportunity, they'd probably go with Nick Chubb this time around. But that's just me. All right. Go ahead, Shannon.
But Chubb's, honestly, he has become a better runner in the pros. Since he's got to the NFL, he runs much more powerful and has that great contact balance. And you didn't see as much of that in college as you're seeing now. So he's actually one of them guys that continued to improve since he got to the professional level.
Right.
And go ahead, Tony.
Well, no, if Hunt wouldn't have screwed up royally a few years ago, he'd probably be a multi-time pro, first-team All-Pro with Kansas City. So,
still in Kansas City.
Have those two guys as your top 2 running backs. That's amazing.
That absolutely is. That's really true. So let's go ahead and take a break, and we will be back, and we will find out who Shannon White and Tony Defeo think are the best tight ends, the best offensive linemen, and we might even go by position on this, and the best wide receivers in the NFL's AFC North. So if you are on Facebook or YouTube, just take a quick break. We're going to stretch, and we'll be right back with you. If you are checking us out on any of your favorite podcast platforms where you download your favorite shows, we hope we're one of your favorites. Just stick around and go ahead, download number 2. It's as simple as a click, and we will be right back to you on the Steelers Hangover from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Welcome back to The Hangover. I am Bryan Anthony Davis. You could call me Bad. This is Tony Julius Defeo. You could call him Tone Deaf. And Shannon White, I don't know your middle name. So you got to tell us that.
It's a secret.
You know, it's not hard. I'll just go. You could tell me, or you could just go ahead and make me search for it, and I'm going to find it. And then I'll find more dirt about you. So if I have to go look that up. And
he's quite the bloodhound when it comes to that stuff.
I'm not afraid of calling up Mrs. White either. And
no, my middle name is Edward.
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay. Shannon Ted. There you go. We've got Tony Jules, Shannon Ted, and Bad here. Wouldn't
that be Shannon Ed?
Well, Ted Kennedy was Edward Kennedy.
Well, that's true.
There's a lot of Edwards that go by Ted, which I never quite figured that out. I never quite figured out why people named John would go by Jack.
Yeah.
And I'm not. The Kennedys, my gosh, the Kennedys screw this up for everybody. Bobby at least did it right. His name was Robert, but you've got John Kennedy, who was Jack. John F., you had Ted Kennedy, Edward Kennedy, who was Ted. Man, I guess they did it different. So I know it was way before that. So that's, I know people were calling Jacks and Teds way before that. But anyways, so let's get on with this, guys. The wide receivers. This is going to be interesting. And I'm seeing a lot in the live chat. A lot of people wanted to rank the Steelers fourth, and you guys did the same thing because we don't know anything about Najee Harris. But it's okay to do potential too, and what you think is going to happen. So I have no problem with that as well. Let's look at the wide receivers. So this really interesting group. I'm going to bring up the top four for each team as listed here. They might differ with you, but on the depth charts that I have, we're going to bring up for the Baltimore Ravens, Marquise Brown. Yep, Hollywood. Sammy Watkins. Rashad Bateman, the rookie, and Miles Boykin. For the Cleveland Browns, we're going to go with Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Rashad Higgins, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And for the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Auden Tate. Once again, with the Steelers, you can do the depth chart any way you wish. We're looking at Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and James Washington. So I don't know who started out last time, so I think it's Shannon's turn for number 4. I think it was Tony.
Well,
it's Shannon's turn.
All right. I think until proven otherwise, I would still have the Ravens at number 4. I think, they're kind of an afterthought in that offense. Brown's probably the most talented, but he's not very physical. He's very diminutive. So I'd have to, where he's basically the best thing they got at the moment, they'd definitely be 4 in my opinion.
All right. Tony?
Yeah, I'm not that impressed with the Ravens receiving core. And when you factor in Jackson and his his problems with passing so far in his career, I think you have to rank them fourth. Sammy Watkins is a nice veteran, but I mean he's just a nice veteran. And Bateman and who was the other guy? The rookie. Anyway, they're unproven. So yeah, I have to go with 4th with the Ravens at number 4.
So the rookie you're looking at is Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman. Yeah.
So number 1 out of Minnesota. So Brad Jewett says, are we counting rookies because Jamar Chase and Rashad Bateman make a huge difference if we're including them? Yeah, I mean it's okay to look at potential, especially here when you're throwing a rookie into a stable. It's a lot easier to do it on wide receiver than doing it for a running back. So I have no problem with that. So Tony, go ahead with number 3 then.
I'm gonna go with the Browns. Believe it or not, I mean I know they have names. They have Odell and Jarvis Landry, and I like Jarvis Landry a lot as a player, but I think Odell is kind of past his expiration date, and I think he's probably not going to. He might not even last out the year in Cleveland the way things are going with him. So yeah, I think they're number 3. Who are the other 2 again? Anyway, yeah, they're number 3.
Okay. Shannon?
I would have to say the Bengals, just because they have a lot of potential with the rookie Bruce, and he could be, they chose him over some offensive linemen, and I thought they needed a lot worse, but he could have, really develop a rapport with Burrows. So, they have some talent there. I think T. Higgins and some other guys. So I would have to go with the Bengals 3rd.
All right. So let's go on to number 2, Shannon.
Well, it was close between the Browns and the Steelers, but I'd have to say the Browns is number 2 because I have a lot of respect for Jarvis Landry. He's a complete package. But OBJ, until he proves that he's not a cancer and a distraction, I would have to leave them at number 2.
All right. So, are you going to agree with Shannon, Tony, or are you going to go in a different direction here?
Well, I already picked. Yeah, the Browns are already 3rd on my list. So yeah, I would have to go with the Bengals at number 2. I like Jamar Chase's potential with top 5 pick, and T. Higgins is fantastic. And then you have the for a rookie, for a young guy, and then the kid from Pitt. I think he's a really good number 3 receiver. So
Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd. I can't think of his name. Thank you. Top season, but yeah. If Burrow is if he can make a strong comeback this year from his knee surgery, then I think they're going to have a really good receiving core.
All right, so I think you both agree that the Steelers are number 1 here. Shannon, why?
I think that Claypool has the potential to take a huge step forward. He could be a number 1, whereas Juju's been on the cusp. He's a very reliable, and I think he'll be used even better this year, getting some play on the outside. And if Deontay Johnson can catch the ball consistently, he gets more yards per reception. He led the league the year before last. He can get open, and then James Washington could be in the top 3 for a lot of teams, and he's your wide receiver 4. So I think just as far as the depth of that position, I think they're number 1.
Tony Defeo, we do the retro show all the time, and we do a lot of games from the 1970s. And every single time that there is a game in the late 70s, there is a mention of if Jim Smith was on another team, he would probably be a number 1 on another team. But he's stuck on a team with Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, and actually, T-Bell's another guy. T-Bell could have been a number 1 or a number 2 on another team back then. That's how good those guys were. So my question to you is, James Washington a number 2 on many other teams?
Oh yeah, the talent's evident. I just think he's been blocked, and rightfully so, with the talent that's been in front of him the last few years during his career. I mean, he started out with AB in front of him, and Juju as his number 2. As number 2 receiver, so it was a hard lineup to crack. But yeah, I mean, he's tough, he's physical, he's a great deep threat for being. He's not the tallest receiver. It's just a matter of him getting a chance, and for him to be your number 4 receiver, that says a lot. You have obviously a proven guy in Juju who's been productive for you in the past, and Deontay Johnson's been obviously he's had trouble with the drops, but he's been extremely productive his first 2 years. And then, of course, Chase Claypool, I think the sky's the limit with that guy. I think he's DK Metcalf-esque in terms of just raw ability and somebody that if he could put it all together, I mean, he's an all-pro. If he could put it all together, I think he's that talented. So this is your number 1 receiving core in the AFC North.
I said this last year, and this was before Chase Claypool, before we knew what we had in Chase Claypool. The thing that makes the Steelers so dangerous at wide receiver is because you could view them as a lot of number 2s, and that's fine. They don't care. Because if you have to double team Juju, Chase is going to kill you. Deontay could kill you. James Washington will kill you as well. If Chase is covered, Juju's going to go off on you. So you have that opportunity for this to be one of the most electric seasons for a Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver stable. Now, it could be the possibility that we are talking next year that we could be talking about this being one of the best wide receiver stables of all time. And we'll probably be doing podcasts. Where does this wide receiver group rank among the greats? In fact, we might do that in a couple of weeks just on this show. Shannon, go ahead. You had your finger up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the only way that this works for the Steelers at wide receiver is because Washington is the consummate teammate. He is unselfish, which is very rare in a receiver that has the talent he has. He's very team-oriented, and he has humility. And because of that, he makes an incredible wide receiver 4.
Right.
All right. I definitely agree on that. So you guys are agreeing that the Steelers are number one. If I was voting in this, I would probably be saying the same. So let's go to the tight end position. This is really interesting. Do we want to go 2 on this, or do we just want to go with the top guy? I'll let you guys decide.
I think you got to go top 2.
Okay. So let's look at the Ravens. We're going to go Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. If we look at the Cincinnati Bengals here, it's Drew Sample and CJ Uzuma. The Cleveland Browns have Austin Hooper and Harrison Bryant. And that's not even mentioning David Njoku in there. Harrison Bryant is a guy that I'm really excited about for them. I think he's going to be really good. Then you're looking at tight end Eric Ebron and Pat Freiermuth as well. So let's start it off, Tony, with your number 4 tight end stable.
I'm gonna have to go with Cincinnati. I don't know much about either one of those guys as far as being impact players. So I think they're number 4.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Shannon?
Well, again, I hate to keep agreeing, but I do agree that that it's the Bengals at number 4. Not necessarily, I like both guys that they block, and have some receiving ability, but compared to the other teams in the division, I think they got to be 4.
Shannon, you can disagree with Tony. He does not know where West Virginia is. He's never been there. He doesn't have a GPS. Hey. He's not going to come to fight you.
Hey, it's 5 states north. I'll find it eventually.
5 states north. It's funny. I'm the only one that could say that I have been a resident of both Pennsylvania with Tony and a resident of West Virginia along with Shannon. So I've been a resident of 3 states. So, and the West Virginia was for 9 years, and that's the lowest of my years on this earth. That's the least amount of time that I lived in a state, and that's a lot of time. Actually, I have great memories of living in West Virginia. I'm a Pennsylvanian by heart, but I love Maryland too. So I've been pretty happy living in all 3 states. So let's go ahead and Shannon, I'll let you keep this going. Let's go with your number 3.
As much as I don't want to say it, but I'll have to go with the Steelers at 3. I think Ebron is one-dimensional. He can, make a real impact with that one dimension. but Freiermuth he's unproven. I hate to put guys that have never done anything in the league ahead of other guys, but I think he has potential to be a really, really good tight end for us, all-around player. But I'd have to put the Steelers at 3 at this moment.
Tony, can you mix it up a bit, or are you with him?
No, I agree again. Sorry, but I think the remaining 2 teams have better tight ends, at least as starters. Mm-hmm. And I think that and I like Ebron a lot. As far as I think he's a better weapon than people give him credit for. Like Shannon said, maybe he's one-dimensional, but he's he's practically a big receiver. I mean, he just he has to work on the drops, and they probably weren't even as bad as people remember. And as far as Freiermuth, I'm really, really excited about him, and I think he can wind up being the best tight end in this division when one day. I think he's that talented. I think he's a better athlete than people think, but he's just so unproven. It's hard to know how they're really going to use him in the offense right now.
All right. You know what? There's a guy that I'm going to call out here because I do respect and love this guy. He has been a great listener for us, but I'm going to disagree with my man Mule. Ebron dropped 7 balls last year. And I get it. Drops are drops, and they can kill you. But he dropped 7 balls. I think you're going to see a lot better production out of Ebron coming out this year. But that's just me. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, no, and I think a lot of the problem last year with the drops, especially late in the year, is like the opposing defenses had caught on to what they were doing with the quick short passes, and it's hard to catch passes in traffic constantly and take hit after hit after hit after hit. I was getting sick of it listening to all these pads popping with no crowds in the stands. It started to give me a headache. So I can imagine what these guys are feeling and taking that kind of punishment week in and week out.
Well, that's he might be a 1-year player here, and it might be Muse's team. Who knows? But I'm pretty excited for this stable. I actually would have had them a lot higher. Let's go to your number 2.
I am going to go. You're telling me in my next, or is it Shannon?
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to go with the Browns. I think they have the better top 2. Austin Hooper or is it Hooper? Yeah, and I like Njoku. If you throw him in as a number 3, that's a big thing for them. But I think Lamar Jackson relies on his tight end. I think he's the best one in the division right now.
So Shannon White, go ahead. You're number 2.
I would have to go Browns number 2 as well. With Hooper is probably the second best tight end in the division at the moment, and I think the Ravens have the best tandem. Bull's very underrated, great blocker, and I'd have been happy with either one of them guys. But
right.
I say the Ravens are number 1 and the Browns are number 2 because they do go 3 deep.
All right. I should have got into this with you guys because I would have probably been different than all of you. Doesn't mean that I'm right, but I would have probably fought you guys on these. So now here's the one we're going to have some fun with. I know we're going to have some fun with. Let's go ahead. I'm going to just go 2, 2, and 1 on this. All right. So if we look at Baltimore, and this is what is being proposed. We've got a tackle. We've got Ronnie Stanley and some guy named Alejandro Villanueva. Big Al, Alejandro Villanueva. At guard, Bradley Bozeman and Kevin Zeitler. At center, Patrick McCarry. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They've got Michael Jordan, and we're not talking about the 50-something-year-old Chicago Bulls guy. We've got Quentin Spain, Jonah Williams, Riley Rife, and I missed the center, Trey Hopkins. So that's a talented group there. Cleveland Browns. Let's look at Jedrick Wills Jr. going into his second year. Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller at guard, Joel Bitonio at guard, and at center J.C. Treader. And the Steelers. These are the projections that we're going to be taking a look at here. In fact, I'm going to just do it this way. At guard, Dotson and Trey Turner. Let's go ahead and project Dotson and Turner to start. At tackle, Chooks Okorafor. Right tackle, Zach Banner. And you guys fill in the blank at center.
Oh.
So go ahead. Tony, I think it's your turn to start.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals number 4. I don't think they did enough to upgrade their line. I think they should have. I honestly think they should have picked a Penny Sewell number 1 instead of the receiver. So you got a young quarterback like that, and he got beat up last year. It's one of the reasons why he got hurt. So I'm going to have to go with the Bengals number 4 right now.
All right, Shannon White, number 4.
I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm gonna say the Steelers until proven otherwise. I mean, I think they had the worst line in the league last year, and they've lost some of the talent they did have in the Castro, and I think they have potential. But again, I'm counting on Green to be the starting center. So if we're just talking about the whole line until proven otherwise, I'm saying they're the 4th in the division.
Well, I can't wait to prove you otherwise, Shannon White and everybody else. All right, go with number 3.
Well, 3 would be the Bengals because they do have more proven NFL experience just from, at least they've been with the team. I mean, Turner's new. Dotson hasn't started but 3 or 4 games. Green will be totally new. Okafor has never played left tackle for the Steelers or in the NFL. And then Dotson, once he had like not even a full game starting at right tackle. So I hate to put him in 4, but so I'd have to put the Bengals at 3.
Shannon. Wow, it was nice having you the last month on the Hangover. Tony, you're up.
The Steelers are number 3. I think I'm a little more optimistic about Shooks as left tackle. I think that's more of his natural position. Banner, he at least won the job in training camp last year. He hasn't really proven anything in a regular season yet, other than for parts of that first game. And Trey Turner is a veteran. And of course, we all love Dotson. In his limited work last year, he really made a great impression. And I think Kendrick Green, if he doesn't win the starting center job, shame on him. So I'm going to go with the Steelers at number 3.
Wow, you're throwing shame around already. Oh my goodness. You know what?
It's social media. Shame. Okay.
I should have brought Jeff. I should have saved this for a show with Jeff Hartman, because he would have said Steelers won, Steelers won, Steelers won, Steelers won, Steelers won. Because when we pick the wins, they're like almost like 16-1 every year. I'm just kidding. It's not that crazy, but he's an eternal optimist. I love it. All right, Tony, take us home with number 2.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I like the Kevin Zeitler pickup, and they're really excited about Ronnie Stanley. That's why they made that trade, right? Left tackle. Now, Big Al, he's a good pass protector, but he's not great against the run. At least he wasn't last year. So they rely heavily on the run. So that might be what keeps them from having the best line of the 4.
Shannon.
I think the Ravens line will not be as good as it was last year. And if it wasn't that the Steelers line was in such a flux, and the Bengals line, I would have put them even lower. I do not think Villanueva is a good pickup for them. But I could be proven wrong, but I don't see him as a right tackle. And they lost that. I can't remember his name. Their veteran center they've had forever. He retired. And so they're going to have some questions, when they're all about the running game. I mean, that's their MO. So that's their bread and butter, so to speak. And I think their lines took a step back. And so I put them at number 2.
All right, I'm going to go with Stacy Lynn here and say the Steelers are number 1. There you go. There you go. We're going to party like it's 2008 with a bad offensive line, and we're still going to win it, boys. All right. Okay.
How about the O-line now?
So now with what we've done here, I want you to think of where you ranked all of these guys. Based on where you ranked, we're going to start with Tony, number 4 in the AFC North, and we're going to go all the way down to number 1. But we're going to do it a little different this time around. Tony's going to say number 4. Shannon's going to say number 3. Then Tony can say number 2, and Shannon can say number 1. There you go.
All right, Bengals, number 4.
All right, Shannon. Actually, no. Shannon, who's your number 4? Let's do it that way.
Okay. But first, I have to say that we didn't get to talk about the Browns line, which I think is the envy of the whole NFL. And I hate to say that, but I think their offensive line is incredible. And that's why that, when you put the best running back tandem and the best offensive line, they're pretty much unstoppable on that side. But so we're going to rank the offenses.
Yeah, we're going to rank offenses from 4
just
to 1.
Offense.
Yep,
okay.
Just offense.
Okay, so I say the Bengals are number 4.
All right. Go ahead with your number 3.
Number 3, actually, I'm going to say the Ravens.
Okay, number 2.
Me?
Yep.
Oh, number 2, I say the Browns.
And you're saying the number 1 offense is the Steelers.
I think by the season end, it'll be the number 1 offense, yes.
All right, Tony, what do you think? What's your rank?
Bengals at 4. I think the Ravens have taken a step back in a lot of ways, mainly because, like Shannon said, the time might not be was last year, so they're number 3. The Steelers are number 2, just because they're in a flux as far as a new system and a new line. And of course, I think Shannon said it perfectly that the Browns, their line so good. Overall, they have a great offense as far as skill position players. They certainly have the best running back tandem, And so I think they're number one right now.
All right, so I'm actually going to, if I'm going to side with one, I think both you guys did a great job, and I'm actually going to go ahead. I hate to do this. I'm going to go with Tony on this. I think the Browns are the number one offense there. I really, gosh, I hate number 6. All right, so with that being said, just because of that, I've got to go with Shannon now, just because of number 6. So, hey, thanks so much, everybody in the live chat. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate you. Remember, it doesn't matter whether you've been in the business since 1969 or whether you've been doing this for about 5 years or maybe just 2. Just, people that go on these shows, I fully support everybody on BTSC. And I really think that if I'm going to rank somebody, I'm going to rank BTSC as some of the best in the business as far as podcasts go too. I am a homer. I know that, but I'm just going to say thank you for making us what we are, because we can't do it without you. And absolutely everybody that's in the live chat right now, you're the best, and we appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Even the person on Facebook that gave us a little frowny face up there. What's up with that? How about that?
Just Facebook.
Yeah. Well, hey, every show I'm on, every show I'm on gets 3 thumbs down on YouTube. The Scobros get no thumbs down, but I get 3.
Well,
just for showing up, I get 3.
I get 3 before 6 minutes in. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people wake up and say, "I'm going to give Tony a thumbs down." They're like, "Who's Tony?" I'm like, "No, he deserves a thumbs down." But bad gets 3.
I'm negative. I'm negative thumbs in before I even start.
He'd have been a great heel in wrestling. He really would have.
Oh, you got it. Tony and I, you missed the early days when we were Blog Talk Radio. I was the Ric Flair and Tony was the Arn Anderson of BTSC.
That's right.
So there you go. So now we can be the 3 horsemen, right here, 3.
There you go.
There's supposed to be 4 horsemen.
Yeah, but there's only 3 of us. We're gonna have to add somebody onto the show.
It could be Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner would make a good 4th.
We'll bring Mule Skinner in.
He doesn't care.
He's a 4 horseman with us. So that's good.
He'll have somebody with a chair for sure.
we need Andrew Wilbar as the 4th, because we need somebody young. Somebody young who can have some cardio to be out there for a while.
That's right.
We're going to have to go in and drop a quick leg like Hulk Hogan, and then I got to roll out of the ring, rope. Man. I'll be done.
Andrew can't be on there. Listen to this. We signed into 3 accounts: a like for Shannon, a dislike for Tony, nothing for Pat.
Wow. That's what I call a heel.
Okay, yeah, I guess he can be. Yeah, somebody could. I'm gonna be like Ric Flair. I'm gonna have the brass knuckles in my tights, and I could talk the good game. So for the jet flying, limousine riding, woo! BTSC son of a guns. If you can't be oh my gosh, if you want to beat the podcast, you got to be the podcast. There you go. I screwed that all up. So let's channel another great wrestling great who was actually a great friend of Ric Flair. For Shannon White, for Tony Defeo, my name is Bryan Anthony Davis, and just when you think you've got all of the answers,
we keep changing the questions.
Woo!
All right, boys.